And the top of the morning or top of the evening to you. How's everybody doing? You're listening to Car Musings, and I'm your host, Matt Morgan. How are you doing today? Or tonight? Wherever you are in the car. Or maybe you're not in the car. Maybe you're just out and about. Maybe you're at home. Who knows? But either way, I hope you're doing well. So here we are. It is another day. And I'll tell you, some days go quicker than others. Others just drag on like there's no tomorrow. Hoping you're having a good day, no matter if it's dragging or going slow or going fast or whatever the case may be. But hey, first and foremost, just keep your integrity in check, keep your head on straight, and find your balancing point. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. But before I get into that, please check out themadmorgan.com for more information on this, that, and everything else. Helpful information that'll help you get through your day, give you resources, give you information, and hopefully just, provide you that little extra helping hand. That's what it comes down to. So today I want to talk about finding your recharge point, finding your what settles you, right? And that's what I want to talk about today, because we all have different things that work for us, and for everybody it's not always the same thing. For some people it's faith, some people it's a routine, some people it's something else. But most importantly, find something that works for you, right? It's that reset point, it's that motivation point, it's something that just keeps you going, right? And as I said, it's different for different people, right? Some people do one thing, some people do the other, but do it. And don't let anybody else distract you from it. If it makes sense to you, just do it. End of story. Like, I have a routine that I do, and something that I shelved for a while. But you know what? I got back into it because the thing is, I needed to. I stepped away from it for a decision, a request to somebody, and I kind of felt lost without it, right? I kind of felt lost without it because it was something that I needed in order to get right again. And recently, I decided, as events may have unfolded, that I'm going to get back to my reset point. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did because it makes sense to me. And we all need to have something like that, other than turning to a substance or some sort of artificial joy. Find something that just gives you that sense of reset. Whether it's praying, whether it is a routine, whether it's exercising, whether or not it's engaging in a hobby. And if you don't have something, find something. Try new things. Try new activities. Try to find something that is enjoyable to the point where you can go, you know what? I like this. I'm going to do this. But you never know unless you try to discover it. And you got to discover it for your own sanity. For me, I'm not going to give away all my secrets because that's got me in trouble before. Oversharing definitely cannot be a good, it could be a bad thing at times. So don't overshare, because it's like in anything. If you master an art or master a craft, you don't want to give away those secrets. You don't, because it is your ace in the hole. It is your step up that no one else has that you have. Okay? So keep that close to the chest. But let me tell you, I'm glad I got back into my routine. I'm glad I got back into what makes sense to me, because it's, as I said, it makes sense to me. And there are people in my life that it doesn't make sense to them, but it doesn't have to make sense to them. Just like in your world, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else but you, because it's your regimen. It is your something that you need, right? It's your secret that helps you stay balanced. But find it. It doesn't have to be faith. It doesn't have to be anything of what I mentioned. It could be a simple thing like picking your nose. But if that helps you settle yourself and right yourself, then you do what you need to do. That's all I'm gonna say. That is the whole thing of it. That's what I wanted to talk today about. Because life does get difficult. It does. You know, and also if you're gonna do something that rights you, make sure you're not taking from somebody else, because that's just a transference of energy, and that just makes you a leech. That just makes you a parasite, and you don't want to do that. You want to find something that universally is sound and it's not going to hurt anybody else or take from anybody else, right? You want something that is going to be completely genuine, non destructive, non intrusive, and you're just going to do it because it's what you need to do. And it could be anything. But I think we all need to find, especially in these difficult times. As I mentioned before, when people came out of COVID, they realized and discovered some shitty things about themselves. A lot of people didn't realize how mentally unstable they were when it came to COVID. I know I saw the ugly side of people that I called friends because of COVID, and it's saddening that these people were so fucked up. And I feel bad for them. I still do, even though I no longer associate with them and have distanced myself from some of them because they're fucked in the head and they don't realize it. But when you're sitting in a neutral stance, like I usually do, and you're one of those people that people watches, like I do, when you see it, you recognize it because you're looking at it from a different angle. It's not always easy to look inwards, right? A lot of people have a difficulty with looking inwards. Because they have a difficulty looking inwards, they don't see certain things within themselves. So, it makes it a little difficult for them to clue in, to focus in, and all that stuff. So, you know, and I saw a lot of people that came out of COVID not realizing how screwed in the head they were. And it's unfortunate. And, you try to do what you can to be there for them and help them out and, get them through it. But unfortunately, as much as you try to save the world, you just can't, you know? It's just one of those things. You just have to come to terms with the fact is that we all have our own struggles. We all have our own challenges. We all have stuff we have to go through and we don't really recognize what everybody else is going through. We only are too focused on our own backyard. We're only focused on what's going on with ourselves. And that's unfortunately where some people lack empathy and understanding because we can't see beyond ourselves. We could only be focused on whatever we got going on. And if we could learn to be understanding enough to realize that other people are going through stuff, maybe we would just make this world a better place because we're being empathetic and we're being understanding and we're basically saying, hey, you know what? I see you. I recognize you. I recognize that you're going through something, and be a little more patient, a little more understanding, and less of an asshole. But it takes a really strong person and a special in a good kind of way, not in a special Jerry Kids kind of way. It's got to be a special. I know that was probably very insensitive of me, that last comment, but thankfully, a lot of the current generation, it'll go over their heads if they won't understand it. But it takes a special kind of person to be able to look beyond themselves and see other people. You know, it takes a special kind of person to be understanding about other people. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been tarnished and are so cold and so bitter with the world that it's all me, 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 me. And they can't see beyond themselves to realize that other people are going through stuff too. And the world just doesn't revolve around them. So try to be the better of the two. Try to be the better person to recognize that other people are going through stuff. Now, for yourself, unfortunately, you can't control the assholes of the world. You just can't. You try, you can try, you can try. But once an asshole, always an asshole. Tiger doesn't change his stripes. And I know sometimes you're going to feel like you should have been a proctologist, because I know I do. Because the amount of assholes I've dealt with in my life, damn, I should get paid for dealing with this many assholes. But unfortunately, it is the way it is. Now, what you can do, because you can't always deal with the assholes, is find a way to reset. Not rechange the way you do things, but basically reset for your own mental health, for your own well-being. Okay? Because you carry a lot of the weight of the world on you if you're empathetic. If you're understanding and caring, you carry a lot of that weight. If you're kind and considerate, you carry a lot of that weight, because that is just a lot in life of those people. And it's those ones that don't let all that weight crush them and bring them completely down to the point where they get cold and hard is the impressive part, right? So you don't want to become that bitter person. You don't want to become that hard person. You don't want to let that weight crush you that you become a heartless asshole. So if you don't want that, then you have to figure out a way to unburden yourself. And this is where the reset comes into play. And that's why it's important to get that reset so you don't become those assholes that you have to struggle with and you've had to deal with. Because that's what's happened. Not all the time, because there are people that are narcissists and they're psychopaths, right? That's just chemically, biologically fucked up. Like, seriously, bud. Fucking asshole. Fucking red diplomatic plates. Biggest dick heads ever. Come to my country, you fucker. You better follow the rules. Don't be a dick. Anyways, speaking of assholes. So, the thing is that learn to unburden yourself with that. And you got to. You have to figure out a regiment that works. Find a regiment that works, do it, and don't forget about it. And try to make it regular if you can. But if you can't make it regular, then you know what? At least make a point when you reach that boiling point to remember to do it. Whatever it is. Whatever that certain something is, just make a point of doing it. Okay? Buddy, pick a lane. There's two fucking lanes. Anyways, just do yourself that favor. Make a point of doing what you need to do. And, I did it. I feel great. I really do. Because I actually sat back and, regardless of my commitments, I decided that, you know what? 9, 10 years of shelving stuff that works for me. Now I'm going to get back on the train. Now I'm going to get back to the way I need to do things. And now I'm going to reset myself so I can deal with more stuff. Right? Because you need to do that. You need to do that. Because if you don't do that, you'll become that asshole. And you don't want to become that. Do it. I did it. I felt great. I feel awesome. You know? And I'm ready to take on a brand new year of dealing with what I need to deal with. And you can too. just make a point of finding what that point you need. That's all you got to do. Make a point of finding that. And if you haven't discovered it yet, try new things. Figure out what makes sense to you. Figure out what brings peace to you, and just do it. You know what? That's what you should do. Find something that brings you peace and do it. And I'm not going to give away my secrets, but I just feel awesome. And it's going to be a better year moving forward. Actually, a better year moving from this point forward because I've done that reset. So, anyways, do your thing. Do your thing. Now, suggestions, if I may be so bold as to put suggestions out there. So, there's the obvious ones that people could try: meditation, or prayer, or a good book, or a calming escape, like a weekend getaway, or simple going for a drive, going for a good meal, engaging in an activity that you like, engaging in a sport you like, something along those lines, right? So if you engage in one of those things, as a suggestion, these are something you could do. But if you don't do it, you don't have that release. You don't have that time away. You don't have that break you need. And, you know, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. I don't care if you have to play with yourself because that's what gives you relaxation. Then just friggin' do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. You know? Me personally, I like driving. Driving's relaxing, I find. Well, when I'm not having to deal with diplomatic assholes in BMWs and really bad drivers. You know what? When I don't have to deal with that shit, it's all good. But when I do have to deal with that shit, that's a different story. That's a different story altogether. Generally, though, I'm pretty chill, pretty relaxed, pretty easygoing with stuff. And, it's been a crappy 5 years, honestly, but it is relevant at this point because I've reset myself. To give you an idea, I've reset myself, and it's like £1,000,000 off my shoulders. And you can feel that too. Just find something that works and do it. That's all I'm going to say. Find something that works and do it. And just unload that baggage because you don't need that baggage. It's not fun. It's not good, you know? Anyways, that's my 2 cents on that one. I wanted to get it out there to let you guys know that it's important to reset yourself. Find your reset point, find your activity, find something like that, and just go with it. You know, that's what you got to do. Just do it, you know, and, live it, love it. That's about it. It's a crazy world. It really is a crazy freaking world. But, anyways, I think that's about it. My mind is kind of elsewhere at this point. Today's episode. I know I said yesterday is the last episode I'd make it up to you, and I kind of hope I did. Um, I'm preparing for the next success of my next chapter. So my mind's kind of trying to focus on materializing that. So I'm very very happy about you know on that, which is kind of preoccupying my mind. So, I'm kind of looking forward to all that. So, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you have yourself an awesome, awesome rest of your day with whatever you're doing. Keep your integrity in check. Find your balancing point. Reset yourself. Check out themadmorgan.com for all the resources, information, articles, all the stuff we keep adding there for you. Hopefully, it helps. I don't know. I'm flying on cloud nine myself, And I'm hoping that whatever you're doing, you're happy with what you're doing. But remember, find some time to reset yourself. All right? Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Car Musings. I'm your host, Matt Morgan. Be good, be safe, be well, and I will see you next episode. Bye for now.